match you with specifically Castillo and Kirby and Gilbert, but then a couple of these other young guys with Bryce Miller and Brian Wu, et cetera. Is there a comp to be made? Is there something that we can learn from what you guys were like that would help us understand what this group will be like?
Braves-like vibes?
I remember answering this question probably like 5 years ago, 6 years ago with the Mets rotation, and I think people's heads fell off when I said there's probably 10, 12 rotations that are way better than ours. And, people were like, what is he talking about? I said, because individual years, we don't stack up, but we did it collectively for 10 years. With totally different philosophy, totally different mindset. And individually, we wouldn't be picked at all. If there was just a random pickup, pick your starting staff, and we just wouldn't. Our stuff does not compare to the guys that you mentioned, even on this staff in Seattle. So that is the answer to that question is no one will do it 10 years. So the easy answer is they're way better now, and they have an opportunity if healthy. And that's that big if. That the two-letter word has been crushing pitchers for years, and nobody seems to care because they just said we'll just bring up the next guy. The staying healthy part is the big unknown, and so look, they've got strike throwers, they've got nasty stuff. They strike out people. So they have ways to eliminate really, really good offenses. And like I said, if they score runs, they're going to be really tough to beat. No one wants to play the Seattle Mariners if they get in the playoffs. That's just a given because of their starting rotation. And if they stay healthy and fresh, I don't see why they can't make a tremendous run. We talked about this before. I think their Achilles heel is where they play and the travel. If they navigate that and kind of survive some of those trips, which I think most of them are gone, then this balanced schedule really seems to have helped a team like Seattle, because I've said it's really unfair to Tampa and Seattle. Those are the two extremes. And so far, so good, for the Mariners.
Well, one of those individuals in particular, if you watch him in person, John, as I've gotten a chance to do a few times, is George Kirby. And George is this kid from Elon, right, that came out throwing in the low 90s with unbelievable command. Jerry said to us the other day, had he been in the SEC, he probably would have been a top 5 pick, and they would not have been able to get him. But if you see him in person, John, he has just got this quiet rage. I mean, we call him Furious George. At least I do. Anyway, it's not really stuck yet, but I do. And he has just this incredible, he'll scream at the umps. He'll scream, he's got some of this rage. And I'm just curious, does that match up in some way with Greg Maddux back in the day? Just a temperament, a competitive edge that you may not think that he would always come with, but boy, does he bring just fire every time he made a start.
Well, yeah, like Greg had the greatest mechanics in baseball, for as far as I'm concerned, for throwing strikes. If he challenged him to never walk a guy in a year, he could do it, 100%. Majority of his walks were intentional, and that's just a mind-blowing statistic. And I think the willingness to want to mix and match and throw strikes is something that is not taught. You have to be able to do that, because think about it. If they just, in every sport, they're teaching athletes to kind of get away from fundamentals and get to a just let it eat mindset. Let it rip as a quarterback. Let it rip as a golfer. Shoot the 35 footers in basketball. And so the biggest thing that I've noticed about pitching is that there is no art to pitching per se. It's the ability to throw as much and as hard as you can in that box or get it close and let your stuff get guys out. When you have a guy that can combine the two, his ceiling goes way up. His ability to stay healthy goes way up. And he can pitch deeper into games and be more valuable. And I know that's not an asset people are looking for anymore. Like pitching innings, what is that? It's literally just, can you dominate for 4 or 5, and then we'll get the next guy. And so that's why Seattle staff has a chance to keep the bullpen fresh when the postseason comes. Mm-hmm. I laugh internally at all the metrics that go out the window when the postseason comes. All the inning limits, all the pitch stuff, that all goes out the window because it doesn't matter for some reason. I laugh because we have all these restrictions, and then all of a sudden they go away. And it's at the most vulnerable time for any pitcher. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of funny to me how we've evolved, but I think the answer to that question is this guy knows how to pitch. And if you know how to pitch, you're going to be able to navigate a lot of different issues that come along your way.
You know the voice? It is John Smoltz, the voice of baseball today on Fox.